Hello guys and welcome back, and today I want to talk about a brand new Synology. I want to talk about the Synology RS820 Plus. Okay, so Synology have got a number of different families of NAS. They've got a bunch of 2 bays, a bunch of 4 bays, they've got the Plays, the Pluses, and they have a whole history of different ranges and product families that all kind of get refreshed or renewed every 18 months and in some cases to 3 to 5 years. Now, one of these ranges is the Plus Series 4-bay rack. The previous iteration, the RS818 Plus, was released about a year and a half ago, give or take. I know I covered it here on this channel. And this is the follow-up to that. But for those that have taken a little look at the specs, you may be ever so slightly put off. I'm sorry to start this video on such a downer. I normally try to avoid stuff like that, but there's no denying it that the specifications of this brand new NAS are quite similar to its predecessor. And again, for more information about this, do visit NAS Compared and Span in the description below. But we are looking at a 4-bay rack mount. This device arrives in 2 versions, the RS820 Plus and the RS820RP Plus, because that 4-bay rack mount 1U has a power supply built onto the rear. Now, an extra power supply, I should say. Of course it's got a power supply. So, what is interesting about this device right now? Well, you know, it is a 4-bay 1U rack mount. It's got an Intel-based CPU inside, and it is an Atom. Hold it till the end of the video. And it's the Intel C3538, a 2.1 GHz quad-core CPU. It also arrives with 2 GB of memory that can be upgraded all the way to 16 GB of memory, and that's DDR4. On the rear of the device, we have got a PCIe Express slot that can let you upgrade and include things like 10 GBE, 10 gig NIC for the rear. You can also do SSD caching with that cache card, the M2D18. There's even that combination card that they're still working on. I'm hoping to learn more about very soon. The E10M20, the NVMe SSD and 10 GBE cache card together. There are other cards as well. Like there's a bunch of Intel ones that are supported. But even if you don't use this port for network connectivity, you can still utilize the 4 LAN ports on the rear. You can either use one for 1 gig or combine them all via link aggregation or port trunking to give you all of that great speed. On top of that, the device has got an expansion port that lets you add a RX418, and there's USB 3 ports for additional storage, connecting to UPS, wireless devices, and stuff like that. Although, like most Synology devices, it can't really be used for anything in a more access, keyboard, video, mouse. There's none of that there with those USB ports. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. That CPU, I know there's a contingent of my audience that are going to look at that and go, a bit rough, isn't it? Because the Intel Atom series, I've done a couple of Q&As with Synology. I've talked about NAS for a number of years. And if there's one thing you guys can all agree on, you all seem to be a bit annoyed by that CPU. Now, I'm not going to defend Synology with this, but I will say I've discussed this with Synology and the representatives from different places in the world so much that I can pretty much carbon give you their entire opinion. And that is because this CPU, they have used a lot. They have really eked more out of this CPU than anyone else in the market. Their software runs so well on it, it's incredible, and that's because of the continued R&D on this device. Now, when you do buy any Synology NAS, it's also worth highlighting that most people, you should be looking at the software, not the hardware. And I know I sound like Eddie the web guy right now, but hold on. Because you can get hardware from a number of places, but to be honest, the people that have bought Synology NAS in the past, and the people that have used them, you do it for that software, DSM 6.2, and with 7 around the corner. You do it for the fluidity of the apps and the ease of that platform. And that's kind of what you're going for. And at that point, the CPU, I'm not going to say isn't important, but what I will say is it shouldn't be your primary focus. Now, as an upgrade, I will agree with you that it's not an enormous leap. We've seen this kind of jump in a number of Synology releases in the last 2 years. We've seen them go from a revision, the C2538, to this 3538, revision of that same family. but there's still no denying it is a reliable CPU, although it doesn't support things like 4K, which is a bit disappointing. It is great for virtualization. It is great for surveillance. And the entire product range, you know, my throat is so sore. The entire product range from Synology right now runs on that active backup, Synology high availability, all of those Office chat, Drive, all of those applications run on this device. And I think it's going to arrive at a price point staggeringly close to that of its predecessor. Now, maybe they could have included SSD cache bays, maybe could have beefed up that CPU. There's a few ways in which I think they could have made both the RS820 and the RS820 redundant power supplier just that little bit sexier. But if you want power in that form, you've got to look at that other unit we talked about earlier in the year, the RS1619XS Plus, because this isn't designed to be awe-inspiringly powerful. That product family, let's go back to the start of the video, the product family of this device is not designed to be whoa, blisteringly powerful. It is aimed at business file transit. So I'm going to kind of really try to hold back my true feelings about this device until I've physically got one here for a hardware review. But right now, this is the first of many new Synology software and hardware releases we're going to talk about in the next week or so. So if you are interested in learning about what's new with this brand, do click like, subscribe, and the bell at the bottom so you get those push notifications for when I talk about the new products. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Do go below and visit span.com and NAS Compares to stay abreast of all things new in the world of network attached storage, and I'll see you on the next video.